Director Morris?
Here.
Director Stobie?
Here.
Director Woodley?
Here.
Director Morrison?
Here.
And Director Carlson?
Here. Can we join Director Wooten as the
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can you all hear me back there? We can hear you back here. You can? Yes, ma'am. You hear that? No one hears?
Can you hear it now?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to recognize Monique Stopey, who stepped up as a volunteer this year at our annual Easter egg hunt, which was on April the 20th, and she was a bunny. And I've never seen so much energy and enthusiasm from a bunny, other than what Monique Casey brought to the program. She even attempted to go down the slide on the playground, but then thought otherwise that she might lose her head, and that would not be a very good thing to have a kid's experience. And if I'm not mistaken, there's also a short clip that will be coming up in a minute.
Oh, a clip. Yes, in action.
You're welcome. You don't know what she looks like. I'd like to give you another little bunny. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina.
And thank you, Monique. So let's go to number 4, Kenner Park Lake Improvement, Lake Breathless.
Okay, so on April 27th, of Saturday, we had the honor and privilege of having between 50 and 60 volunteers from various churches around the community come out and volunteer. They arrived about 8 a.m. until about 12. We had 6 different projects kind of scoped out for them to do, which they completed in about 2.5 hours, which was great. So we were kind of scrambling at the end trying to find stuff for the volunteers to do. Very motivated group of individuals. Some of the projects that were completed is we sanded down and painted lifeguard towers for the lagoon. We had one guy who pressure washed the entire gazebo for about 4 hours straight. I offered him a job afterwards. He did just a good job. We planted and cleaned the garden area around the gazebo. You can see the volunteers working there. We had about 15 plants and pulled out all the blackberries and weeds and got it all cleaned up prior to people being able to reserve the area. We did various weed eating behind the tennis courts and at the entrance there at Cameron Park Lake. A lot of the volunteers at the very end started cleaning the shoreline, started raking all the tulies and some of the trash and stuff out of the lake, which we came back and picked up. They installed 5 brand new barbecues, as you can see there. We installed 4 new ones right by the gazebo area, which one of them is an ADA compliant barbecue that swivels that we added. And then by the flagpole rental area, we added an additional barbecue. I shouldn't say added because we removed 5 barbecues that were, they were pretty rotted out. Like I said, there was about 50 to 60 volunteers, myself, Greg Dahlbeck, Mike Merritt, and Jen O'Neill. We all worked that day. And it was great. They were really excited that we had various projects for them to do. It wasn't just like a massive weed eating day or barking the entire park. That there were some jobs for some skilled people and stuff for kids to do too. So the variety they were really excited about. And they asked if they could do something like this possibly more than once a year. Of course, I'm always open to volunteers on my help. And we did do a little bit of work, you can see there in the lagoon as well, trying to clean up some of the slime and algae that was kind of growing up. So yeah, very successful day. The weather was beautiful, and we got a lot of stuff done. And we were very happy that they came out and forced like that. Questions on that one?
Did you have any questions? Fantastic. And where were the volunteers from?
So there was some from the Latter-day Saints Church off of Hacienda. There was some from Green Valley Community Church. And I think there was one other church represented, but I'm not sure which one. So I believe that April 27th is the Renew California Parks Day, where various organizations go out and volunteer in the parks. So I think that's good.
So are we planning another one?
Whenever they're ready, yeah. I told them to take them anytime they want to come out and volunteer. There's always stuff to do.
It sounds like you might have other volunteers in the community who might want to help out.
Send them my way, yeah.
Is there another way we can recognize them, perhaps put them on our district website so that they shout out thank you?
I think we already did that, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we put a thank you on our
Great.
page with a banner, yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Very good.
I'm going to talk about the tribe. So one other thing that's going on at the lake is we've been working closely with the tribe in Washington and Shingle Springs. Pictures up there. So the tribe, we met a couple months ago to talk about allowing them to repurpose the tulies around Park Lake. So they came in at least 6 or 8 times now with the crew, and they're pulling the tulies out of the lake, which they used to. You can see there's a tule house that they constructed at the lake. It's just been exciting for a lot of people. A lot of people stop and taking pictures and let their kids go in it. So the plan is to use them as an ongoing way to repurpose the vegetation around the lake. Instead of us just cutting it out and burning it, we'll repurpose it. They make baskets, they make all kinds of stuff with the tulies. It basically turns into rope, and that's what they used to make everything. They also, when they pull the tulies out, they cut it's got like a small hole on the bottom, they cut the hole and you can pickle that and eat it. So they repurpose that as well. For us, that has been really educational. We weren't quite sure at first how it was going to go. They have taught us a lot about the lake shoreline and the vegetation around the lake. Some of the things in the future that we've been talking about is possibly putting up some educational signage around the lake, kind of stating what the Ewok Indians back in the day would use the city for, some educational stuff. Other various sites in Cameron Park where we have vegetation on waterways, some creek beds and retention ponds, repurposing that stuff as well. And overall, it really interacted with the community too, because everybody that walks by has been stopping and asking what they're doing, and they've been educating the public and having really good conversations with them, which has been, it's been a lot of fun. So hopefully this will continue and be our ongoing maintenance of the lake. It's going to be a real task to get us all caught up, but the tulies will thin out year after year, making it less and less. And they want to come back in the fall and kind of eradicate, I guess, all the dead foliage and stuff like that, so that it'll come back the way that they would like it to in the springtime, and they can repurpose it. So we're really trying to work with a partnership and then to take ownership of the lake shore. Not only to help the district with, removing that stuff, but to repurpose it for the community.
questions or comments from you?
So, former teacher, we talked about this in the Parks and Rec Committee, what a wonderful opportunity this is for whatever grade, whether it's third or fourth grade, when they're doing these kinds of projects, to bring them out to the lake. I asked if anybody had been to the big-time performance that they have over Labor Day up at the tribe, and to have dancers, to have their jewelry makers using shells and seeds and pods and things that they might collect at the lake, maybe have a class to build one of their tube huts. I think it'd be really fantastic. Excellent opportunity for us to partner with the tribe and more deeply into our community. So thank you for managing that. Thank you.
If you could just help me understand what the issue is, I guess, with the tulies around the lake, like it sounds like they need maintenance.
Yeah, so the tulies are very aggressive weed, pretty much, but per the state of California, we have to remove all the vegetation along the dam shoreline, so that's really where we're focusing, so we have to get rid of the stuff on the dam. So that's what they're working now. But they are considered a weed, and they do repopulate really quick, so it will get out of control at any time. And the other cool thing that we're talking about doing real quick, is they want to build a tule boat to put in the lake. And they asked if they could host an event where they could do tule boat races across the lake. So, I don't know, we've talked about a lot of different things, and at this point, I think we can have these conversations about whatever we would like to partner and do. So, it'd be fun.
And we put these pictures on the website.
We put them on Instagram and Facebook.
Let's put them on the website too, so that they can see what's going on. And it'll generate more interest. Maybe even the motivation.
Great.
Okay.
All right, next we have a presentation from California Climate Investment Fire Prevention Grant Program presentation with Chief Gaines, and Sherry is not here right now. Chief, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, great.
All right. I'm Jen Gaines, the township here in Cameron Park, and I'm going to talk about the California Climate Investment Fire Prevention Grant. We applied for that. We, as Cameron Park Fire Department, did on behalf of the Cameron Park CSD, applied for this grant. It was due in December, and we were awarded in April. So we'll talk a little more about what we got and how it works. So what it is it's also known as the CCI grant, California's fiscal year 2018-2019 budget allocated for $155 million to CAL FIRE's Forest Health and Fire Prevention Program. And that was across the state. CAL FIRE's Prevention Grants Program provides funding for local projects that addresses the risk of wildfire and reduces wildfire potential. Who was eligible was grantees of state agencies, Native American tribes, local government, fire districts, community service districts, and water districts. And like I said, grants were submitted in December of 2018 and awarded in April of 2019. Project work will begin after September of 2019 and must be completed by March of 2022. So we have 2.5 years to spend the funds for this grant, which we're real excited about. There was 25 applicants that submitted between Amador County and El Dorado County, and we were the only one to get this grant, so we're pretty excited for what we got. What we were awarded. The total grant amount awarded to the Cameron Park CSD is $336,000. $250,000 for fuels reduction work within the community. $50,000 for fire prevention and education. That's going to be an outreach to the community to try to educate the rest of the community on the importance of being fire safe. And there'll be a $36,000 administration fee to be collected on top of this grant. And the way the grant works is it's a reimbursement grant, so all the work
that we do once we complete each project. The CSD will have to pay for it up front. We submit all the paperwork, and then it's 100% reimbursable, plus a 12% administrative fee. This grant proposes to treat approximately 92 acres and 5 miles of roads for ingress and egress within the wildland-urban interface. The goal of the project is to increase defensible space within Cameron Park's wildland-urban interface area. The project proposes to achieve these goals through a combination of mastication, hand thinning, pile burning, and chipping. We plan on contracting a lot of the work out. We'll try to use Growlsburg crews, the CAL FIRE inmate crews out of Growlsburg camp when we can, but they are so busy that we budgeted to contract a lot of this work out to contractors. So the main areas to be treated is we're going to work with the BLM to increase the field break around the Pine Hill Preserve, which we've already been in contact with their representatives, and we've walked the area, and they're in full cooperation with that. We've already started some work on there, and we're hoping this funding is going to kind of get it moving a little quicker and get that cleaned up as soon as we can around there. We're going to treat then all CSD parcels, including Royal Park, Gateway Park, Knollwood Park, Hacienda Park, and Cameron Park Lake, and various other parcels. And our thought is we want to treat not just the edge of the properties, we want to go in and treat like 100% of the parcels that we have, just to go in and thin the overgrowth even in the middle, and try to set, so the CSD properties will set the example for the community of what your properties need to look like. Roadway treatments are to be treated for ingress and egress for both the fire department and the civilians either trying to evacuate or not. There are a couple of roads within Cameron Park that is very tight getting our fire engines in and out of right now. DOT just can't keep up. They've been notified for several years and they just can't keep up, so we're going to use some of this funding just to help that. These areas are going to be Loma Drive, Hacienda Road, El Encanto Road, Montclair Road, and Holly Hills Lane. The fire prevention and education fees for the $50,000 public education campaign will be designed to create and heighten public awareness regarding the danger of catastrophic wildfire in Cameron Park. Our goal is to educate the residents on how they can protect themselves and help Cameron Park become a fire-safe community. And we plan to do this by sending out postcards, putting up signage, advertisement, and handouts. So with this grant, those postcards that you all received this year, we're going to be able to do that for another couple of years and continue that kind of education. We plan on any big community events, we're going to have handouts. We'll hopefully have a booth set up just to educate the public on the importance of being fire ready. Here's an example of the postcard that was sent out. This is what we hope to continue. Here's some fuel reduction projects, the before and after. You can see the picture on the left, the before, how thick that is, and then the after. That's kind of what we want to go in. We'll go in and we'll identify, we'll go in with the state foresters who are well versed in this, and we'll kind of determine diameter size of trees and brush inside these on the parcels, and say everything under either a 6-inch diameter we'll cut completely out, and we'll either chip it and we'll burn it, however we need to do, and we'll thin these areas. And here's another example of a photo. You can see the top photo, you can hardly see the house on the right, and then after you've gone in and done the fuel reduction, so these are kind of some before and after what we want to see in the district and how important. You can see the trees are limbed up, and that's what we're going for. Any questions? We're pretty excited about this grant. I'm excited that we got it out of all the applicants within the county. We were up against some pretty heavy hitters, but I know some of them have received them several before in the past, and it's getting to be a more popular grant. So we're excited to get it. I think we can get a lot of good work done here in the community in the next 2.5 years with this grant. And then our goal after this is with our new formed Fire Safe Council, that they can tack on to some of this and they can continue this work if they get these grants in the future for private property. It's a lot harder for us as the fire department or the CSD to do work on private property, so that's why we're focusing on either the Pine Hill Preserve, the CSD parcels, the roadways, the things we have. It's easier for us to get in and do that. So where the Fire Safe Council will be able to access those private properties and work with the local community on that, and the homeowners to do those interface within the community.
I think we should give him a big hand because he works really hard on this. Did we have any questions from the community, from the board?
I have a question.
Yes.
So we will be spending this over a duration of 2 years?
2.5 years.
2.5 years, okay.
Yeah, March of 2022, we have to be completed with everything we want to do.
Okay. And was there another opportunity to apply for this, or is this something you have?
Annually.
Annually, okay. Are we thinking that we can apply, that you do another fantastic job and get another?
Yeah, we're gonna look at it again this year, see where we're at. So, there's a lot of paperwork we have to do between now and the fall to get this ready, and we have to do what's called the CEQA, the Environmental Impact Study on, even though it's CSD properties, and we can go do the work right now, but if it's gonna be grant work that we're gonna get reimbursed for, we have to have these environmental impact studies done on all the land. So we need to go and identify our parcels that we wanna start initially this fall, and, we're gonna work with our unit forester on that to get that process going. And I've already been in contact with Jerry Martinez for the BLM. They're updating their CEQA for the federal land. So we're hoping that we'll be able to get all this going this fall. So there is a lot of work to be done between now and the time we can actually start work.
And Chief, there's a lot of paperwork that you have to do follow.
Correct. Yeah, and for us, every time work is done on a parcel, all that data needs to be collected, and we have to get like a GPS track of what kind of work was done. We have to submit it up to our unit foresters, and it gets put into what's called Cal Mapper. That tracks all the fuel reduction projects across the state. So then that's how they get their total of how much fuel reduction work has been done across the state for every year, and how many acres it's treated. So right now, CAL FIRE's goal is to treat 20,000 acres a year. So and that's kind of where we're heading. So this will be counted for that.
The Fire Safety Council, who is that? Is it all CAL FIRE, or is it members of the public?
The Fire Safety Council is all volunteers, and it's the community. So it's newly formed, so they're just starting to get going. There's not a lot of info on it. They just kind of got sworn in under the El Dorado County Fire Safety Council, so they fall under that umbrella. It's all a nonprofit, so everything they get is donations and grants to fund that. So they're just getting up and running. So we've been in contact with their president of the Fire Safety Council, so we're working with him on that. So it's a slow process just because it's nonprofit. So they're getting up and going.
Good. All right, thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Is there anybody who'd like to? Morrison? Yes.
I'd like to pull 7B, check register, and I'd like to pull item 8, the Epperson Law Group Legal Services Agreement.
So that's 7B
7B
and 8.
and move to approve with those requests.
Second, anybody?
Second?
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, so, let's go ahead and go to members of the public may speak on any item on the agenda that falls within the jurisdiction of the board of directors. Comment during the open forum is limited to comment during open forum is limited to 4 minutes per person. Public testimony will be received on each agenda item as it is called. Full party on each side of an issue where applicable is allocated 10 minutes to speak. Individual comments are limited to 4 minutes, except with the consent of the board. Individuals shall be allowed to speak on an item only once. The board reserves the right to waive rules by majority vote. For the public information, we are now taking email requests for future notification of community service district meetings. Let's go ahead and open forum, and who would like to speak?
went to a budget meeting last week. And this budget meeting started at 7 o'clock. And I don't know how long it really went. I left here at 1:30. And there's a lot of talk, and more talk, and more talk, and talk, and talk, and talk. And what I can't understand is I might be all wrong, but I think this 3.5 hours of talk accomplished absolutely nothing, unless I hear something tonight that can change my mind. And the reason I went to this meeting was on the prior Friday, I heard that our budget of $6,490,846 went to $7,465,821. To me, I could break the other number down, but to me, essentially, it's $1 million. And it came out of thin air that a $6 million budget can have a deficit of $1 million. I would guess that there probably isn't anybody in this room that would know after that one how many zeros that is. It's just not comprehensible to me. But one of the things that happened at that meeting that was really irritating to me, and in one more month it'll be 10 years that we've had this building and I've been coming to these strange meetings. But one of the things that was said by the president of that meeting, the head of that meeting, was, when you get up and speak on the agenda item, I want the conversation to be positive. Well, there was only one thing I was positive about. We have a $1 million deficit. And another thing, don't place blame. Where the hell are we going if in 10 years we cannot place blame? And I know some members of this board have already said, I wasn't here when all of this happened. Well, everybody was here when this went from 300,000 to $1 million. So don't say, and if you weren't here, that doesn't make any difference. You said you came in here knowing what the problem was. That meant you felt that you were qualified and you were capable of correcting this problem. Yet, in 6 months of being here, you let it go in the wrong direction. In my real world that I came from, and I was in charge of something and that happened, there'd be a doorway that I'd be thrown out with my last paycheck. But I know in this type of environment that won't happen to anyone. But if you want to resign, resigning is very easy to do. It takes one little piece of paper and it's all done. So, I don't want to stand up here in open forum or an agenda item and be told what I can and can't say, whether it's positive or negative. I should be able to say it. And I better not hear that again, because I've heard this through so many boards over the years that told me if I said that one more time, I was out the door. I'm not going to put up with that. And besides that, it is a violation of the Brown Act telling me how I should talk and what I should say. So, and when things get this bad, you always hear excuses. Some of the excuses were, other CSDs have the same problem. Well, if you were in business, no matter what business, say you're selling shoes, and every shoe company on your street was going downhill and not doing a good job, would you want to go in that direction? No. You would want to be the exception and go in the other direction.
Thank you, Mr. Fahrenstein. Next.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes if you're standing up here and you say nice things, you get an extra minute. Not for you.
You know, Bill, there's so many of us here making these presentations that could go on all night.
Oh, we've already heard that. 3 of us.
All 3 of us, so yeah, I ran over 12 minutes, they have to listen to us. So, I'd like to address an item not on the agenda. Matter of fact, it's shockingly absent from tonight's agenda, and that is the 2019-2020 draft budget with its million, excuse me, I exaggerated, it's only $994,000 deficit. And as Bill has indicated, after massaging that issue for probably almost 3 hours at the budget and admin meeting 8 days ago, I would have thought that there would have been some director who would have put this item on the agenda tonight for discussion, preferably as an action item for the board to start directing the staff as to what it needs to cut out of the draft budget to at least start the process of bringing some sanity to our budget process. You know, when this board was put in place back in January, or maybe it was the December meeting, we only had a $300,000 deficit only at that point, okay? And you guys all agreed that we would have to make some tough decisions in order to bring our spending back in line with our revenues. You all shook your head, yeah, you understood that was going to be the case. And so far as I can see, this board has done absolutely nothing towards that end, except increase the deficit by an additional $600,000. I see more and more people being hired, okay? I see temporary employees being converted to district employees, and some of them given benefits. I don't know. At the budget and admin meeting last week, it seems to me that each department head that I heard speak, almost to a person, declared that their personnel expenses were increasing in their budget this year. You know, you guys talked about possibly closing the swimming lagoon, canceling the summer spectacular, cutting department budgets, and you didn't really talk about decreasing staff. That was my idea. But you're going to have to. You're going to lose, you know, you're probably going to lose 30% of your employees here. I don't see any other way to keep this thing out of bankruptcy. Okay? What I want to know is, at what meeting are you all going to start doing something? You know, I would have thought that the budget and admin people would have brought something back and agendized it so that you guys could start talking about specifically how you're going to cut costs here, okay? But I don't see it, you know? I don't see it. When are you guys going to start doing the job that you were elected to do? You've done nothing over the past 5 months. Nothing. Maybe you did something with some electricity bills or something like that. But obviously you didn't do much because you went from a $300,000 deficit to a $994,000 deficit. You guys you're not making it.
Thank you.
Can I speak to that?
No.
Yeah.
Got it? No, it's not. Barbara, thank you.
You want to answer?
She can speak to that. She can speak to
I
that.
can speak to this.
Yes, she can.
Let Barbara speak.
Well, if you're going to speak to something that I said, that I'm going back to the podium to be able to answer. You're not going to pull a Greg Stanton on me and get up there and refute things that I just said with me not having an opportunity to respond to you. So if you want to respond, I'll go back to the podium.
No, you're absolutely right. We're not going to be doing that.
Okay, you sure aren't.
She can't speak to it.
Barbara Rogers, County Park. Well, I left the meeting the other night, had a long day, so I didn't catch the last part of it, but I did get the recording, and I was pretty appalled at what happened at the end of that meeting. First of all, when a member of the public gets up to speak to the board, I don't think your staff needs to yell out at them. That needs to stop. You want everybody to get along and everything to be positive, and I expect the same thing from your staff. I'm not going to call the staff member out because I'm sure she knows who I'm talking about. When Monique Scobie handed out a fictitious budget of what a budget would look like this year if it were balanced. Bottom line, they showed the fire department side of the budget eating up 89% of our tax dollars. Now, all I heard out of everybody that night is, oh, don't take it personal. Well, how did you expect it? I would have taken it personal because I think this was a direct, underhanded, slimy attack against the fire department portion of the budget. I've been living in this community since 1991. I was very involved with Cameron Park Fire, to not only my job, but because at one time I was engaged to fire chief here. So I know the history of this fire department. I know why we don't have a fire department. And you know why we don't have a fire department? Because the general manager didn't treat the fire partners very well, couldn't get along. So the board said, well, we'll get rid of our fire department because we're going to save on all this unfunded liabilities. And we'll just go out and we'll contract. And that's what we've done with CAL FIRE. You guys are headed to nowhere. Because I smell fire attacks. I got that out of the conversation from your general manager. And I will tell you right now, I will battle you every inch of the way for a fire tax. Because I've already started to put it out on next door, exactly what's going on here, I'm going to say exactly, I have everything in emails going back to 2004. I want to read you something. Michelle Place was the general manager in 2004. She presented to the board and the citizen committee that there would be an annual shortfall of $376,857.50 with the community center. And at that time, no way did the CSD's budget take on that shortfall. But they pushed forward with this anyway. And I don't think a lot of you even know why we have this center. We have this center because there was a group of people who are no longer around who wanted it. Because the County of El Dorado had a community enhancement fund, and there was $1 million carrot dangling out there for them to get from the county to help build the center, and this is why the big push went on. Even though many of us fought it, the people voted for it. And you want to know why the people voted for it? I am going to ask for extra time. It's because weddings and banquets were promised, bringing in 25 to maybe 37,000 a year, averaging just 25 banquets. That was wedding banquets. Theater, El Dorado Music Theater was promised to the public. Oh, they're going to come here, and they're going to use our facility, and they're going to pay us $60, maybe $120 an hour. When truth be known, they never were going to come here. Never going to come here. But we were all lied to. Dance and gymnasium. And I think Holly knows the story about the dance gal. I do want a little bit more because I think this is important information. Margaret, you hear it now or you read it online?
Just a minute, Barbara, let me ask what's the will of the board? Is the next another minute?
Yes.
Okay.
So there was a dance teacher apparently who was going to bring in dance classes here, and that's why they did a dance studio out there. Originally out front was supposed to be for the seniors, which if you think about it, would make more sense to bring your seniors in through the round, right? But then, for whatever reason, and like I say, Holly Morrison, you know the story, correct? Holly knows the background on what happened there. That was another lie we were told. Then the senior programs. We were going to have all these wonderful senior programs and the senior meals and everything. From day one, never happened. Never, ever happened. So I have said over the years, I would never place blame on you guys. But you know, you could turn this negative into a positive. And that's what you ought to be doing. You don't want to go in the past, but the past is important. Because this is why we're where we're at, you guys. They knew we couldn't afford to support our fire service and the community center. And that's the truth. I have everything. I have all the minutes. I have everything. I don't get up here just to talk because I want to hear myself talk. But if you think you're going to push towards a fire tax, I'm going to tell you right now, I will be against you. And you can sit and say, oh, this district's doing this. Big deal. We're not that district. El Dorado County Fire right now, where I retired from, is struggling with their tax. They're not doing so well. People don't want to pay more taxes. Before you look at taxes, you better look at cuts. And it's a 70-30 split on our taxes. The fire department has always thought it has waivers back and forth over the years, but the lion's share of our taxes, that's the way it has to be. I want my fire department. I also would like this to be successful. I don't even know why it isn't.
So I'm just telling you that you better think long and hard, and I also agree with David. Why isn't the budget why are we not talking budget tonight?
Thank you, Barbara. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in open forum on matters currently not on the agenda? Okay, we'll go ahead and bring it back to the board and go on to, so I have a comment.
We've got two
Well,
more
comment,
minutes.
you can make it management from at the end of the meeting. That's
Why
right.
can I not?
Racist.
Because Greg Staffen always got to be able to speak after open
Well,
forum.
we also had this discussion after that situation, they brought it up, not to go and have a
To make a comment.
debate back and forth.
Not that we're not able to respond to. I don't want somebody up there responding to something I said at the podium,
That's
but I don't have a
right. They
chance
never
to
got that.
respond back to
That's
them.
right.
The agreement was not, was
Director Morrison, you can speak after it matters to from if there's something you can do, that's when you can speak to the board.
I want to have that board. I want to
Did have
respond
that.
to the open forum.
We're not going to respond at this point. So did have that discussion.
Is there a reason I can't speak? We've done it in the past, other male board members got to speak.
We had, it had nothing to do with that. We had done it in the past, we had discussed this, and we decided that there was other ways to do
Yeah,
that.
who's we?
The board did, earlier.
I have to tell you, the PA dealing with hearing from
I agree.
folks, I'm a little concerned that the matters being brought up in open forum were not agendized. So for a board member to respond to that risk violation.
I will make a statement that the male members of the previous board got to respond to the bylaw.
And Director Morrison, you may respond at matters to from. We're allowing that to happen at that point. Okay, we're going to move on to the next agenda item. The items removed from the consent agenda for discussion, 7B.
Great.
Director Morrison?
So I'll turn to item 7 and to starting on page 4. Payments to Chen Padilla for $1,000 for North UV maintenance on April 19th. And payments to Chen Padilla for $6,500 for Knollwood clearing of weeds, swamp logs, etc. Could I get an explanation of that?
If I'm wrong, the fire fuel reduction program?
Yes.
Yeah, it's related to the fire fuel reduction program on those two properties.
Yes, so Knollwood Park had a major section that hadn't been touched by the district ever, that was butting up against two properties. And per the ordinance, we had to get the 30-foot fire break cut. And we did everything we could to get that done prior to May 1st, which we were able to. $6,500 was for Knollwood Park. The other,
Rather than taking on temporary help or something that would have been at a $10 or $15 an hour rate?
not for a project like that, no. I mean, this was extensive. It took 6 guys, 6 days.
In order to
It was, yeah.
In order to meet the deadline for we make an ordinance because it was our goal to have all of the districts compliant by our date. Mike put together a, and I think he talked to the Parks and Rec committee about it, kind of where we used to just use Brownsburg crews, we now use a combination of Brownsburg contractors, district staff using flow mowers, and spray. And so it was a much more robust program. There are additional costs, but we knew it was a high priority for everyone, including working with the fire department, to get our properties into compliance and related to that cost.
That's very disappointing to see that, Bill. We could move on to page 5, the bottom of the page, second paragraph, Department of Water Resources, $8,068 payment for dam fees. Is that for inspection?
We are the owner of a dam, and our being an owner of a dam, it can be have to permit it, and those permit fees have doubled.
So that's just permitting. Is that a one-time yearly?
It's Mike's thinking of it.
That's the fee for Stratus Environmental, who does all the staff gauge readings of the lake and the water quality readings, and then submits the report to the state
Once a year?
once a year.
Once a year?
Yep.
Okay, I wasn't sure. We have so much going on with the dam. If you'll turn to page 7, same thing. I'm assuming the El Dorado weed control, $1,303.96 for Gateway Park. Same thing?
Yeah, that's to spray out all of the 30-foot clearance around the entire park after we knock the weeds down and all the brush.
So that's 75, 85, that's $9,000 in the month of April for additional weed abatement.
Yeah, the El Dorado weed control was budgeted
Okay.
for the Sierra Bushman and NOLA was not. But all the El Dorado weed control stuff that's in the register was budgeted for.
All right. And then the bottom of page 7, $2,168.75 for Krista Mahal T-Ball Park. Is that conservation services or construction services?
It's the planning.
Consulting services?
Yeah, that's the plan for the new T-ball hall.
That's for the plan.
Right, and that is those costs are offset by our development fees.
By parking match? Fantastic. Were there any other fees associated with that project at this point?
No construction project at this point.
Yes, and then I'll speak to a proposal at the Parks and Rec committee update. Page 9. I met with Jill today to discuss the cost of propane. I do not understand why we're spending thousands and thousands of dollars a month on propane to heat the pool. I don't understand it. I think the pool, the gym, and the 2 classrooms, is that what the tanks heat? Mr. Gaston?
Yeah, for the gym, classroom, and pool.
Gym, 2 classrooms,
Yes.
and the pool.
Yeah.
So this is month after month. We have a bill here for $2,392.36, and then, 11 days later, $2,231.46 for an April fee of over $4,600. I don't understand that. I live here, I have propane, I have a medium 2,200 square foot house. I don't understand, month after month, why we're spending these. Are we heating the pool in the winter as well?
So what had happened is that's when the pool opened for the Sierra Sharks. So after we got all the tiles fixed, raised the pool, and we had to heat it from 56 degrees to 78.
Understood, but I asked about these 90 days ago. I talked about the propane fees that were about the same amount. I don't understand. I did speak with the general manager about that today. We need to get a real handle on what we're buying, and also to understand why going out for bid. There is a website on Facebook, El Dorado County Propane Fees. We are going with a company that happens, the reason we're going with them is because the boyfriend of an ex-board member worked for that company. They are notorious for having the highest fees in the county, and I'm hoping the general manager will speak to you about going out. If we own the tanks, you do not have to stay with the propane company. You can change it every time, depending on what the cheapest rate is, the day that you need to have it up to us. This is beyond exorbitant to be spending $5,000 a month. I understand the heating of the pool, but I call these bills out.
Mike, will solar offset that cost at all, now that it's online?
Yeah, once the pool's heated up to the 80 degrees, then solar, except for days like this when it's sunny, solar is keeping it. Every morning I come in till I leave, solar's, the propane's not on.
We finally turned the solar on. We've had solar, it comes out and it then turned off. We've turned it on, and we're hoping to see a reduction in the speed next winter.
Yes, right now we should. For the month of May, I would
Okay.
expect it, yep.
But I'm watching those.
Oh, I am too, yeah.
And call around for fees. We buy so much, I think we get a huge business discount for that product.
Okay.
Thank you very much. If you'll turn to page 11, please, the NorCal mechanical bills. We have an HVAC repair of $371.25. And then, let's see here, it doesn't give the date on the second or third bill, $324.161.25. But if you go over to page 13, under Ski Air Incorporated, we've got a $2,816 bill for the community center heat exchange. Sounds like is that for the product? Which is for the product and which is for the labor? And then another $1,554 to the blower, for the blower motor replacement of the community center. So a total of $7,000. We have one item.
So the NorCal is for Station 89.
NorCal, okay, for HVAC repairs, HVAC system repairs, and then repair of the roof where the HVAC system is.
Correct, yeah. So they came in, replaced one part with the first charge. That did not fix the issue, ended up being something else. For obviously the larger charge, they recommended replacing the unit because it is so old, but we chose to go with the repair because replacement of the unit is very costly. So we chose to go with the repair, and then after all the repairs, the roof did leak, and we kind of went back and forth, yeah. So anyway, they had to come back and repair the roof.
That's a pretty low cost to repair the roof, all things considered. And so then the ski air is separate, that's for the community.
Correct.
It's for the unit right above us here. The heat exchanger and the blower, the motor both went out.
Well, we are 10 years, if you live in a house, if you own a house, you didn't buy your home warranty, that's, you're replacing your pool pump, you're replacing your microwave, you're replacing your oven, right? So we're at that point, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And the firehouse, same thing, we're at that age, unfortunately. These repairs are not anticipated. And I think that's all I have on item 87.
Okay. Is there anybody else who has any questions on the check registry from the director?
No.
Director Cronin?
I just have two quick comments. I would like to commend staff for getting ready to apply for the transparency certificate, having revised the website. That's really fantastic. And I actually believe there's somebody here in the audience who was not here during the, what is it called, the unagendized public speaking. So I'm not sure if there's a way for that, for us to turn back to that.
That would be a management from that.
Okay. Okay, so that's it for now.
Thanks, Greg.
Go ahead.
Okay, let's move on to item 8 then.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Then we can go ahead and open up to the community for comment on that.
I was just wondering what the $687 monthly bill I see for a dealer every month is. Are you paying some sort of a subscription for this program? Your accounting software?
Can you tell me what page it's on? It's hard for me to
Oh,
hear.
page 1.
Page 1?
Yeah.
So Bela?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
A subscription? It is kind of like, are you like in the cloud or something?
Yes, we are.
Okay, that's all right.
Okay. Do we have any other
Yeah,
questions?
I can't believe that we heat the pool to 78 degrees. Seriously? I only heat my house to 65 degrees. I'm serious. You know, I remember Paul Ryan said this so many years ago, shortly after this place opened up. He said, wow. He said, that pool will suck a propane tank dry like that. You know, and here we've been paying. Why are we heating the pool to 78 degrees?
Thank you,
You know,
David.
they can swim at 70 degrees. You know? That needs to be taken down. You should try J.S. West for a propane company. And
That's who we have.
that's what we have.
Yeah, they're the highest in the county.
What's that?
They're the highest rate in the county right now.
Really? Because when I looked around, when I dumped mine, they were the lowest because of the way they pegged it.
It changes.
Is there anybody else who has a comment?
Yeah, I have another comment. 10 years for an HVAC system to, for the blower and the heat exchanger, which is basically the two main components of a of a furnace unit, okay? 10 years is not good service. Not good service at all. I've had mine replaced for 18 years, okay? And I spent $1,000 on it last year. I expect to use it for some years to come. So don't tell me that, oh, well, 10 years old, it's cracked, But we are in a situation where this place is aging, and you can expect more and more and more money to maintain it. But 10 years, I think 10 years is terrible. I would scream like from about 10 years.
Thank you. Any other comments on this item? And then if not, we will move on to item number 8.
I was just kind of surprised that it was in the consent agenda. It just seems to me it's a major contract for us and a major service, and I just wanted to review it, have the general manager review it with us, just so we're very clear. I just think that it's important.
Yes.
Because it's a major contract.
Thank you, Chris. That was as well.
Good.
Okay, staff is asking for the board to consider approval of a 2-year agreement with Epperson Law Firm. The district went out with a competitive bid process about 2 years ago, just prior to me coming on board, and through that competitive selection process chose Princess Long and Epperson. There's 2 reasons why we're bringing this to you today. One, Princess and Long has retired, so we are now have a name change to Epperson Law Firm. And then the second thing is that the contract is expiring in July. The district has about 20 contracts for services, anywhere from security services to website services. So there's about 20 contractors. With encouragement from the Budget Admin Committee, and also staffing from prior to that, we've been reviewing all of these contracts and trying to bring the oldest ones up to date, since we had just selected the Epperson Law Firm, and because we've had stipulations with Jason here, we are just asking for another 2-year contract with him.
Does anybody have questions for us?
Well, congratulations. This is a surprise that we have had retirement of both Mr. Bennett and Mr. Long.
I would actually modify that statement
That's fine.
just slightly so that my partners don't get upset. One of our partners, Dave Prentice, is going to be easing into retirement. He's decided that his title should be partner emeritus, and it'll be over the next 6 to 18 months. He'll be decreasing his work schedule. So we needed to do a corporate reformation. So this is an ideal time to actually do that. And we still have an affiliation agreement, so all the attorneys should still be available to the district in the event that they're required to. But under this agreement, it would be with Epperson Law Firm, and I would remain your counsel if you approve.
Any other questions?
Great, congratulations.
Okay. Take it back out to the community, and then we'd like to speak on this agenda item. Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board, and I'd like to say thank you for your service and the great work you have done representing the town.
Thank you very much.
Move to approve agenda item number 8, agreement with general counsel between Cameron Park Community Services District and Epperson Law Group, PC, legal services with general counsel for the district.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All 5-0. Okay, thank you very much.
Sorry, I missed that. Yes, I'm not sure we did a vote on the check register.
Okay, we didn't do a vote on the check register, so we'll go back to item 17. Do I have a motion to approve the check register item 7B?
Just a moment, don't we also have to approve item 9, that's under the consent agenda? Can you just approve the whole thing? No?
We didn't pull that. Okay.
Some of those kind of
Yeah, I believe we voted on everything except for item 7.
Got it.
So do I have a motion for approval of 7B? To approve 7B. Second, please.
I'll say.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye, motion approved. So, and then 8 was approved as well by,
And I'm sorry, just for the record, I believe on 7B was vote 4-1.
yes.
Second record was.
Well, what? Okay. Okay, great, that's item 10. We have moved on to now item 11, to approve resolution of the 2019 proclamation May as Older American Month in Cameron Park. And Senior Leadership Council. Joe. Bill.
Older Americans, look at that.
The only member of the Senior Leadership Council here. Would you
I
like
go
me
brain
to-
dead after listening to this for 30 seconds, so you'll have to.
I mean, I'll kick it off and introduce you if you would like to take your words. You're welcome to comment.
The Senior Leadership Council.
You want to come to the podium?
I don't know.
You need a presentation, Bill. Come on up.
You owe me 2 minutes anyway, because she got 2 more minutes. Yeah, I'm the treasurer for the Senior Leadership Council, and this is senior month. Oh. And we're putting together something for the 21st, and the ladies are working on entertainment, and actually we could use this word as our entertainment. And we're going to have food, we're going to have lasagna, and a real load of great food for people to eat. I think it starts at 11:30, so anybody from the board wants to show up at 10:30 and help us put this together, any of the seniors on the board. I won't guess them anymore. So, yeah, we hope to make it, we've had this for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's been a great event. And the ladies are working on it, will do a good job. As you can see from my presentation, I didn't help.
Thank you. Bill, is this flyer on the table for everybody to have?
Yeah, isn't it still with 11 to 1?
Yeah, it's 11 to 1.
11 to 1, not 11:30.
I said 11:30. That's what I'm out here.
Lunch is lasagna. French bread offered by Joe's Coffee and Deli, they give us a great deal. It is supported in part by the Cameron Park Community Foundation, so they contributed to the event. Also, our Senior Leadership Council, Joanna Perry, the president, has been working very hard at getting gift baskets. So that there's gift baskets to give away. They have some entertainment, and they have arranged also Celestine, Carrie, and some other ladies have been doing table decorations. So they work really hard, and if you can find it in your schedule, combined, we're expecting up to 50 people.
11 to 1. That's because I had the 2 o'clock annual awareness program.
I think you can, if you have to leave early, we'll,
Well, 11 to 1 is fine, that gives me that.
so we'll be, if you have any more questions, please ask the recreation staff.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions about this?
And board members, you have a flyer.
This has been going on for a couple of years now. This is great. This is very.
Off and on. Off and on.
Off and on.
Yeah. And there is a proclamation attached to your board report that was kind of historic. We found it when we were going through our records retention stuff. If you found it, and it's a proclamation that was done in 2000 by the board of directors. So we included that for your information as well.
So do we need to do a proclaim the May as Older Americans Month? Like the proclamation?
The resolution. Resolution proclaiming May 2019 as Older Americans Month in Cameron Park, and recognition of humankind's coming of age and the promise which the longevity revolution holds for social, economic, cultural, and spiritual development in the next century. The Cameron Park CSD Board of Directors will proclaim May as Older Americans Month. Whereas population age 65 and older represents the fastest growing segment of our county, And whereas the fact that America is not only a nation of youth, but also one of age, whereas our society continues to tap the rich talents of today's older Americans who remain active and productive, serving as role models and inspirations to others, whereas recognizing that many older Americans are redefining their attitudes, lifestyles which contribute to good health and a satisfying quality of life. And whereas 2019 Older Americans Fund, sponsored by the Cameron Park Senior Leadership Council and the Cameron Park Community Foundation, will provide an opportunity to honor the contributions made by older Americans at the Older Americans Luncheon on Tuesday, May 21st, 2019, 11 to 1 at the Cameron Park Community Center. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Cameron Park Community Services District does hereby declare May 2019 as Older Americans Month to pay tribute to the rapidly increasing older population in local communities and throughout the world, encouraging older Americans to maintain their independence by accessing support services available to them, and further encouraging all businesses, public and private schools, groups, and citizens to observe and celebrate this nation's senior citizens as the valuable natural resources that they are. Passed and adopted by the Board of Directors of the Cameron Park Community Services District at a regularly scheduled meeting held on 15th of May 2019.
Did we use this as a tablet or something?
Very good. I think we had a little bit of help. I think that probably Nikki did some creative writing as well.
What's the age, the below age limit for coming to senior nutrition?
65.
Is it 65? I don't think so.
No?
I thought it was 70.
I thought it was 60.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering where we got that 65.
And, oh, well, you can come.
I think,
You can come if you're younger than that, but I think, they're not.
that is the age on the
proclamation for the resolution, and then on the proclamation, it also has the big council.
Yeah. And I don't think that we're defining that, I think we're deciding that.
Do I have a motion from anybody on the board to accept this resolution?
Although I'm very disappointed, I don't think I'm going to make it. I think it's 1:15.
Do we have a second? All those in favor of the resolution proclaiming May 2019 as Older Americans Month? Aye. Aye. Okay, that is a 5-0. All right. May is Older Americans Month. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, let's move on to the next item on our agenda, and that is public hearing through resolution Eldorado proposal waste connection rate adjustment. Okay, I'm going to kick it off, and then Jeff is going to take it from there. Staff is recommending adjustments for the extraordinary circumstances and the annual consumer price index adjustment. And this is the first time that Eldorado Disposal is asking for an increase due to extraordinary circumstances. The board has an option to approve one, both, or none of these increases. If you choose to not approve one of the increases, I just encourage you to let us know if you're willing to reconsider it in the future and under what conditions or information you need to make that consideration again in the future. Eldorado Disposal was at the Budget and Admin Committee meeting in March, April, and May. We had a recycling workshop as a board in March to assist, and the district and Eldorado Disposal also worked together to get the word out about recycling changes. We had updated information on our website. They were a guest columnist in Cameron Park Life, and we also included some information in our newsletter. So trying to get information out about recycling has been really important to us. So at this point, if you don't have any more questions for me, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff who will walk us through the fee proposal. Jeff England, Operations Manager, Eldorado Disposal.
Thank you very much, Jill, and thank you to the board for the opportunity to present tonight. I brought friends with me, if I may introduce. We have Sarah Barak, our Sustainability Coordinator, Jeff Stevens, our Controller, Rick Ball, who runs our Material Recovery Facility, Sam Strobe, one of our Controllers, and Sue Van Linder, our Division Vice President, is with us tonight. And all are happy to answer any questions that we may have over the course of the discussion tonight. Because we've presented, and in the interest in efficiency, a very thorough presentation already specific to the extraordinary circumstances request, we'll be forsaking our traditional annual presentation tonight. This will be more conversational, if you will. But before we get to the rate adjustment piece of it, I do want to take the opportunity to do a couple of current event updates, if I could, please. I wanted to shout out for a great spring community cleanup that we just did. We got a very nice nifty report from Tina and staff on that, and what I wanted to share about the spring community cleanup is that we had an increase. 2018 spring cleanup, we had 195 vehicles from the community go through, 275 this year. We had a 5-ton increase in trash tons that we pulled out of the community at this year's event. And as it relates to other earlier conversation, we pulled 5.63 tons of green waste out of the community at the cleanup event this year, which is roughly double what we did last year. We just did, or are doing, I should say, our unlimited curbside green waste cleanups, where we enable residential customers to set out literally unlimited bundled green waste, and we believe that this is a critical piece to the Defensible Space Program and Green Waste Program in Cameron Park and throughout the county. I also wanted to give an update with the limit can specific to the fact that we now have an engineering report that details costs and related tasks associated with upgrading a property on Duroc Road to enable getting us moved to a viable buyback center. Yes, amen. We are having conversations with the property owner right now, and I'm extremely hopeful that this is our go forward with regard to our buyback center situation, and will present an excellent buyback center for the community for many years to come.
We need to do a ribbon cutting.
I think a parade might be when we get our new buyback center. And we appreciate your patience as we work our way through that process. All right. Anything else I wanted to touch along those lines? If I could, so what I'd like to do is kind of take us through attachment 12B, if I could, please. And before we get to that, what I would like to express truly is my appreciation to the board, as well as the Budget and Finance Ad Hoc Committee, for a very thorough process that we worked our way through here. Jill's right, we've attended 3 ad hoc subcommittee meetings, we presented to the full board, and I want the community to know that your board has done its due diligence, which has included all things from attending a workshop, as Jill indicated, truck rides and garbage trucks, and tours of our transfer facility, as well as our recycle processing facility involved. And I applaud your effort to ensure that we're making informed decisions tonight. Thank you for that. All right. Well, so this is different than what we usually see because of the extraordinary circumstance request specific to the recycled PI that you see indicated up there. Very briefly, I will re-summarize that we are in the position of making an extraordinary circumstance request because our business model is upside down. We've shifted from, in a very short 4 years, from about $50 a ton in revenue derived from that recycled material that is in your green carts with the yellow lids to a $70 a ton cost to process and dispose of that material. In short, that business model being upside down means that we had been able to provide recycle services, both residential and commercial, for free. Very simply, we're no longer able to do that. That, in short, is why we have come with this request, and I will walk you through the specifics of the request. I think I'll use the 64-gallon cart. That's really a good, solid one to work with here, and frankly, is kind of where a lot of folks land in Cameron Park. If you've got a 64-gallon cart right now, your current monthly rate is $27.48. We're asking for $1.13 from all residents, regardless of cart size or number of carts, specific to providing the recycle service. That would increase the rate to $28.61. I'll share that breaks down, as you can see pretty easily, to 56 cents per recycle service for a residential customer. The other part of the PI, which is our annual rate adjustment, which is specific to the Consumer Price Index, and in Cameron Park has a fuel surge component, which I'll share this year, actually is a negative number to help drive your rate adjustment down this year, as it did last in 2015. That, if you're a 64-gallon customer, is a 90-cent bump, and so the net impact for that residential customer would take your monthly rate to $29.52 per month. I'd like to work down to the 2-yard FEL, that is regarding a front-load container, a commercial container. Currently, a 2-yard commercial customer would be paying $1.76 per month service there for service. The PI would increase that by $17.83, and with our annual rate adjustment there would shift that commercial rate on a 2-yarder to $200.12. We do feel that, unfortunately, the adjustment for the commercial rate is appropriate and necessary, specific to California Assembly Bill 341 requirement, which is that any commercial customer with 4 yards or more of trash has to have a recycle program of some type, and it's therefore quite mandated for us. And that's part of the essence of why we feel that this is a necessary ask. The state of California is not backing down on its mandate to reach diversion goals in 2020 of 75%. I will tell you it's highly doubtful that they reach that goals because of all these things that have come into play. But those goals remain firm with the state, and therefore we really do not have the option, nor do we want to, landfill recycled material. We're very much in the middle of a very transitional moment in recycling here, and still California leads the way by not taking the easy way out and landfilling recycled material. We work very hard to negotiate the best rates that we can. We work very hard to be efficient in our operations. We think that compared to other jurisdictional asks and other means that we could explore, some of which are more punitive, finding and things of that nature, we prefer this approach. We think it's fair. We think it's modest, frankly, compared to what our costs truly are in nature, and we very much appreciate your consideration this evening. Thank you, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
So let's go to the board, and do we have any questions from the directors? Director Carlson?
I appreciate that we have something like a 20-year contract. We're about halfway through, if I understand. Roughly, we've about 10 years into a 20-year contract, and I really appreciate that we've got a good partnership.
Actually, Cameron Park, we've got a few years, I believe, that we're up, but that's a subject for discussion.
And I think to date, indeed, it's been lucky that we were able to sell our recycling, or you were able to sell recycling to a communist country across the Pacific. I mean, who would think? But in some ways, I think it would be a more reasonable business plan to not assume that one could sell one's recycling, and instead have a business plan that would actually recycle the recycling more around the vicinity where the recycling is collected. So to me, it doesn't seem like a sort of extraordinary surprise that we're not able to continue to sell our recycling overseas. And then I would like to point out that there was a big extraordinary event that happened that I believe would have affected Waste Connections, but I haven't heard anything come here about that, and that was the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, which the U.S. Congress passed in December of 2017, which reduced the corporate tax rate, I believe, from 35% to something like 22%. That was pretty extraordinary. That was a stroke of unpredicted kind of good luck. And I didn't see anything, I believe, come here saying we're going to lower your rates because we got this tax cut. So I really appreciate that you're doing your jobs, you're as far as I understand, liable, you're accountable to shareholders, and of course we're accountable to the residents here in Cameron Park. And as you've heard, the residents of Cameron Park do have a lot of other expenses that are going up. So I think there's one other avenue that I would request, which is that the shareholders, they're doing great. I mean, I've looked up, they've been getting record profits. They had profits last year that were beat the year before. So I wouldn't want to ask that the shareholders take a loss, but maybe that they just earn a slightly less profit so that the residents here in Cameron Park don't have to pull it out of their pocket. So that would be another avenue that I would like to have with that.
I appreciate the comments. Those are difficult to respond to. This recycle situation is very much a regional and California situation. I guess I can speak first to the shareholder aspect and work my way back. We are a very large company. We are throughout the United States and Canada, and we are in a variety of business models. What happens specific to California recycle likely would not impact our share rate on the whole because of, frankly, the economies of scale associated with the size of our company. Let me shift. What I would say is that part of the reason we believe this is a fair ask is that it is something that is really being borne by all residents in California specific to recycling mandates and the desire to do the right thing, which is to recycle. And we are very much in a transitional phase right now. California is waking up now because the end market is essentially dried up to the fact that we now have to redevelop infrastructure and markets for recycling. And we're very much, I think, in the infancy of that process. I think that there will be an awakening next year when the California legislature identifies that it's not going to hit its 75% diversion goals in 2020, and that there will be a predictable process where they will ask CalRecycle, why hasn't this happened? And CalRecycle will ask the jurisdictions, why hasn't this happened? And what we'll identify is that more effort and more resources will need to be put into developing infrastructure and end markets, and that they'll be looking at other opportunities such as taxing people like Amazon for that plastic stuff with the air in it that we all have to throw away that is not recyclable, and get it to the point where either they pay for us to throw it away or they develop materials that are recyclable that will protect the widget that's inside that box. Those are the types of things that I see coming. We're not there yet. In the meantime, we are confronted with needing to provide this service in an enormous costing situation for us. And if we felt like there was an easier, better way to achieve our goals, which is to provide recycled service, we certainly would be presenting something else. Yes?
Where I live, I'm kind of surrounded by seniors. My wife here needs nothing to get. Anyhow, off the wall, I'm going to ask you, what would be the approximate, let's say, percentage of a raise in their garbage bill, or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, well, seniors are an interesting group because we have held the senior rate flat for many years on the 35-gallon cart situation. Off the top, I'm not sure about the seniors. That would take me a little calculating or getting my controller friends that you mentioned back there. But I can tell you that since 2014, the average adjustment rate every year in Cameron Park has been 2.2%, and that is projected through 2019, including the recycle ask and this year's CPI. I alluded to the fuel surcharge in 2015 being a negative number that actually drove it down. This year, again, it actually was a negative number. And frankly, we very much like this system, which is consumer price index and fuel cost based, because it does accurately reflect inflation and the costs that we're subject to and that we all live in here. I couldn't tell you, I mean, gosh.
Just an approximate.
Jeff,
It's flat.
is it in front of me?
The 35-gallon senior rate is flat.
Okay, well, what I can tell you is
CPI or the recycling or both?
both, okay.
Is what?
We kept it flat again this year on the senior 35-gallon rate for both components. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, any other questions from Director Morrison? No, Director Stingy? Thank you, gentlemen. Questions?
Thank you very much.
No, wait, we do have.
Questions,
Oh,
Jeff?
Yeah, sorry.
And then we have the public.
No, we have to public. So you're going to be up here for a moment.
Okay, Jeff,
Okay.
we have a seat right here for you.
Oh, sorry. You can, I mean, you can finish it with podium, and then we can take public.
We'll go out to the public after.
And then they can sit at the podium.
As you wish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to verify that the rates that are shown here are monthly rates, so what will show up on your bill will be twice that.
Correct.
Okay.
We're in a monthly bill situation in Cameron Park right now.
The other thing is, I did want to share with everybody that I did do a ride-along on the recycle truck, and I did go tour the Cal Waste recycling facility, and did my research online, and the recycling, increased recycling rates are actually quite real, and we looked up China and their sword, or silver sword, no, whatever that, green sword, no, it was green cents and another sword issue that they did. So my big concern here is that, this isn't really going to go away. And my concern is, what are we going to do next? Specifically, what can we do in Cameron Park to help keep our recycling rates down? I mean, I'd like to see if there's any type of options that are available to us to do that.
Right now, because really the forces that are causing our revenue to have gone down to a costing situation and frankly beyond our control in Cameron Parks, we don't feel right now that there's really a way to implement a program or something along those lines that at this point would mitigate that cost. Again, we also feel that because it's a shared responsibility, a cost that is uniform is fairest. I really, what I can tell you in the long run, and the end of this story is that it's going to be about the things that I described that the state will need to drive going forward and on a local basis. And what we are committed to is it's about education and outreach. It's about us understanding that there's a paradigm shift that has to occur so that how people recycle. We need to acknowledge that what we own is that for many years, because the market has enabled it, that we own having set a set of parameters that says, if you're not sure, put it in that cart, and we'll sort it for you. And now the curtain is dropped on our ability to simply be that cavalier about what goes into the cart. We have to be specific, and we have to educate people to do that. We believe that we're beginning to put the time and treasure into that process. We've gotten the word out in a variety of ways. And we've also looked at overhauling and making what I think are changes to the performance standards that would create a metric specific to outreach, both for events and commercial customers to help memorialize that. I think that those are the tangible things that we can do. At this point in time, Monique, shared. I've got some ideas about what I think may be predictable in this process, but what I wouldn't hazard a guess at is what's going to happen with commodity prices and things of that nature.
And one final question. This is the first I heard about the buyback of Durham Road. So is that just going to replace the one that's behind the road?
That's our goal. That is our goal. And yeah, we're very much in exploring. We've identified a property that we think is viable. We've got the engineering report on what it would take to make it a suitable parcel for us, and we're speaking now to the owner about that.
So, Jeff, I have a question. So, basically the rate of increase for residential with the CPI is 2.7%, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then if you add the...
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I apologize. The CPI specifically is a 3.16, and I believe the recycled component was $1.13, so about 4.67.
Total
Total is 7.7.
Okay, 7.7%. Total is for both the emergency and the CPI.
Correct.
And then, Bill, we'll get to you after the question.
It'll be all night.
And then, the other question I have is, do you have plans in the future? I know you're doing education on recycling materials, but to reduce materials. Like a lot of companies are doing, they're talking about, waste, not throwing away the straws, the plastic bags. I'm looking on the table and seeing lots of us carrying these reusable, drinking materials. But do you have plans to do that as well? Because reduction is going to be a huge part of this as well.
Very much a big piece of education and outreach is really identifying what things people can do as everyday consumers, smart buying, and preferring items that are packaged in a way that can be recycled. That most certainly is a part of it. I know that Sarah brought with her some, I wouldn't call them props, but recyclable items, and I wouldn't be surprised if some metal straws aren't part of what she's got in there. Those are one of the things we take to workshops and to try to get the word out to people so that, what we find, because we've done an awful lot of presentations to chambers and service groups. We just did the Rotary in El Dorado Hills last week, is that people really want to do the right thing and recycle. We have people react emotionally when they find out they've been putting the wrong stuff in their carts. And so we know this is important to people. I know I've been recycling. I was a Sacramento County resident in 1989, and I had those 3 bins, and we separated, our newspaper and cans and bottles, and stayed with it. Now I'm in the industry, and I live it every day. And I believe very strongly that people want to do the right thing and recycle. We know it's near and dear to many people's hearts, and that's why we think this is a reasonable ask, that people recognize that it's the right thing to do, and that frankly we don't have a lot of other choices other than to throw things away.
Okay, so my last question is the $1.13 pretty much what you're doing for all the others, the county and everybody else in recycling, or is it all calculated in a different way, like the CPI?
The $1.13 is specific to Placerville, Cameron Park, and El Dorado Hills, where we have a rate adjustment process that is essentially CPI driven. El Dorado County has a different rate setting methodology that is formula driven. What I can tell you is the net increase this year for El Dorado County residents is slightly smaller, specific to the recycled component, but their net increase this year is an 8.8% rather than 7.7 roughly that you're seeing here.
So does that mean that we are one of the first to go and have this assessment because our contract is in July, or does Placerville and El Dorado Hills already have the rate?
No, ma'am. Everybody's rate adjustments would occur July 1st this year, and we're very much in this process with all the other jurisdictions.
So they haven't necessarily approved
El Dorado Hills voted 5-0 to approve the extraordinary circumstance request we presented to the City of Placerville last night, and they voted in 2 weeks. El Dorado County Environmental Department has recommended to the Board of Supervisors that they approve our extraordinary circumstance request.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
If there's not any more directors, there's questions.
I do have a question.
Okay.
I would like to know what percent of customers are seniors?
I'm sorry,
What percent of customers are seniors?
do we know? My controller, perhaps? We can find out if there's anything that we can't, pull out of the system and get to you along those lines.
I just would be concerned that, that other residents are subsidizing that portion, if it's also not getting a rating.
It's about 5%,
53%.
Five?
about 5% that have applied for the 35-gallon senior rate. So you have some seniors that choose larger container sizes.
And what age is a senior in your opinion?
65 and older.
65.
Okay, we have questions from
So I have a
Mr. Carey was that.
But only had to listen to this crap for, 30 minutes. Such questions that have no relevance at all to the problem.
Ask the question, please.
Don't you tell me what to
Do you have a question, Bill?
Yes, I do have a question, but don't anybody here tell me what to do. If anybody's going to shut me down, it's the board
Mr.
president.
Carey, go ahead and ask your question.
This is the most efficient company that I've ever done business with. They know how to run a business with a profit motive, and yet they're being attacked here like unbelievably. Corporate business a corporation is in business to make a profit and to pay dividends to their shareholders. Why that has to come up here, I don't understand. Corporation tax cuts was one of the best things this year that ever happened to this country. Corporations were paying higher taxes than any other country, and by cutting it, it gave corporations money to hire more employees, improve their businesses. But that's the old democratic thing. Oh, we gave all the problems to the people on the lower end, and we took care of the corporation. No, that's not the case. If you look at the whole story, good job you guys do. Fantastic. Okay.
Okay, for everybody, Mr. Carey can come up to the podium next time, and then Barbara, you have a question.
That was my question.
I just want to know about, we have mandatory garbage pickup, Colorado also has mandatory pickup.
Yes, ma'am.
Possible.
Correct.
Colorado County, rural, whatever areas do not.
That is correct.
So how do our rates compare to the El Dorado County rates? I mean, I don't have to have, to the penny, but are they
No.
paying a different rate structure?
All four of the jurisdictions pay slightly different rates. They're rather historical in nature. They've been in place for a very long time. I can pull that. I don't know if I've
No,
got
I
that at
don't
my
need it.
fingertips.
It's just that I know by this agency cutting the deal with you guys so many years ago for mandatory garbage pickup, we are getting money back from you for that too.
We pay
That's right.
franchise fees. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
right. So it's a win-win operation. Nobody likes to pay more money, but you need our garbage, and if you do your research, China isn't, then they're not going to take anything anymore with the tariffs and stuff in place. It's just going to be the way it is. So I had heard that there was going to be some sort of a plant in Camino at the old mill site that I thought was going to burn garbage. Across from where I used to work with the fire department? Is that something you're involved in?
So we've had feelers specific to biodigester type facility, about a couple of locations in El Dorado County, and interest expressed by a private company that develops those.
But that would not be with you guys?
It very much could be in partnership with us. Very often, those type of facilities are developed through a community business partnership that can also include grants from the state.
Yeah, and is that for them to reduce power, or what's it, or just?
It depends on the nature of them. Typically, what you've got is organic material going into a biodigester that will, can convert energy and it to be utilized there in the vicinity. The other is composting capability, Wibro, from the material that can be used as fertilizer.
Yeah, well, I personally think the world of your company, and I respect that you guys have the El Dorado disposal name in this area. I think I've said it once to you, maybe not ever, but my granddaughter's grandfather on her dad's side was one of the original El Dorado disposal employees. So it means a lot to me that you guys kept that name and kept the hometown feel. So I think the world is, and she knows it. So you guys do a great job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Aaron?
I'm sure you've all thought about it, but I'd love to hear how you got to this point. I am grateful that you're not only addressing current reality, but trying to get ahead of what's coming. So I'm looking at this rate schedule, and this feels like an old mindset, which is an economy of scale. Because the proportion of gallon size to price is much less. So you go from a 35-gallon can to a 96-gallon can, it's a 274% increase in the amount of garbage that's possible, but the rate is only 40-some-odd% higher. If you're getting out ahead of it, have you considered increasing the bigger gallons much more proportionally to encourage your customers to use less, provide less garbage, to almost, I don't want to say force it upon them, but make them make the decision. Do you want to live this way or this way? And if you're going to live this way, then the people who use more garbage pay for it. Because if I have a 35-gallon can, more garbage, which I do, why am I only paying 42% less than somebody who can increase the garbage 274%?
Your theory is sound, and it's actually been implemented in jurisdictions throughout the county, including El Dorado County. The concept can be called pay-as-you-throw, and it does exactly what you're talking about. It creates a greater differential between the smaller sized cart and the larger sized cart in order to encourage people to recycle more and get more material out of the mainstream trash stream. It's a sound theory and concept as it relates to diversion goals. In practical application, what we're finding is it's been a contributor to contamination. I hate to say it, but some folks will cheat the system and put trash into the recycle cart in order to keep the lower rate. We've seen that as a trend in Yuba City and other jurisdictions that have implemented this philosophy. It does have merit, and it certainly has to occur in conjunction with other things to specifically try to reduce the contamination, which includes vigilance on our drivers' parts when they're looking, for the material going into the trucks.
To do when you're driving down
And it certainly is, yeah. They got enough to think about, but we do ask them to take a look at that camera in the hopper so they see what's going on there.
Okay. Was there any discussion of doing some kind of, maybe not a proportional increase, but a more significant increase at a higher gallon rate, just to begin those kind of steps? Because, looking at this, if somebody's going to pay $8 a month more for a 96-gallon can, well, folks with that much trash aren't really worried about it. So instead of $8, maybe $15. Again, I'm curious more of that discussion than even just completely implemented.
Sure.
Rather than doing the same kind of ratios.
Yeah, I know that we looked at a variety of ways of trying to make up the cost lost with not just the lost revenue, but the fact that we're spending now $70 a ton to process and dispose of the material. And the fact that we landed on a universal rate for us spoke to the fact that the forces that are at work that are putting us in this position are really, in some ways, beyond what a local community, really is able to alter. And that we thought that this was the fairest approach in the end. That certainly is something that, we could look at. This is a recycle-specific rate, and so we really felt like everyone wants to, should be doing the right thing at recycling, and we'll just make it universal.
Thank you.
Yes,
Is there anybody else who would like to speak from the community or ask questions on this issue? Okay, bring back the board.
I would like to know, do you do presentations?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Sarah is excellent at presenting recycle work workshops. We've provided a few already. We're more than happy to get up in front of any chamber or service organization.
This is
that
a
has-
senior mobile home park, and there's over 150 units.
We would go there joyfully.
Give me a card or something.
I'll commit Sarah tonight from here.
Okay, so with all that, if there's not any other questions, the board has to look at two issues here. One is, first, do we raise it, approve the CPI and the recycling together? Or do we want to entertain just raising the CPI and accepting the recycling later, or what is the will of the board? I just want to make a comment just real quick. We've been doing, and they've been coming to the budget and admin, and I think it's been really great to get some more understanding about the issues and what's going on. My concern is that it is a reduction, and it is bigger than this community. It's more than what we as 5,400 houses can handle. So my first thought was, what are we going to do if we raise the rate? But I do believe that recycling is extremely important, but education is even more important. We just have to reduce, and reuse everything that we can. So I would encourage you guys are doing this to just increase your efforts and to get the information out there that we can continue to reduce. And that was my comment. So is there a little bit more than anything you'd like to make a motion?
I'd like to approve resolution number 2019-09, which includes annual rate adjustment of 3.7% based upon the consumer price index. And that also includes a rate increase for extraordinary circumstances due to changes in recycling.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Opposed.
Director Wood, did you vote?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a 4-1 vote, and the approval of the resolution is 4-1, and congratulations.
I'm going to leave some materials here for you that Sarah provided. These are some of the materials that we put in the local newspaper, as well as some magnets that we've developed and help recycle right. So I will just leave these up here for the public or for the board.
May I have your card before you leave?
Yes, here, you have a card. Okay, let's go ahead and continue with the meeting. We have the board information items, which is number 13, the general manager's matters to and from board members and staff. Director Carlson, do you have anything with general managers to discuss today?
Again, I want to commend staff for obtaining fire grants and parks also for working so well with the community, churches and the tribe. And with regard to the sitting parks fund of $500,000, I'm requesting that we spend it smart and fast to reduce operating costs. I agree with the public that operating costs have to be reduced, and that I think these funds are one of the ways that we can start to really make headway. So I'd like to request that we agendize a list of parks projects and cost estimates for a future meeting sooner than later. And as you can see, there are not families here tonight, and unfortunately because families are at home taking care of their children, so they can't be represented here that well. There was a mother with 2 children here, but it looks like she had to go home and take care of her family. But there are families in Cameron Park who would really like our parks to be closer to the parks that they drive to in other cities, because our parks are not as nice as some of the other parks, and it pains me to know that we have $500,000 sitting in the pot and not being spent promptly to help the families live in Cameron Park and also to reduce our operating expenses. So I would really like to list possible projects for parks with estimated costs. And that is it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Existing parks? Existing park upgrade that we were referring to?
Essential projects that the $550,000 in developer's fees could be used for the park, but then especially prioritizing ones that would ultimately reduce our operating expenses.
Great, thank you. So my comment that I was going to make after Mr. Gelber spoke was that, and also Mr. Jerry, is that, yes, it's quite a concern that we have not started formal budget talks since May. It's very disconcerting, obviously. What is happening is that board members have been invited to sit with the general manager and go over the budget prior to our next June regular board meeting and then the second board meeting. So we have done some work, but yes, I share your concern that it's taking so long.
We've done nothing.
The second item is it was brought to my attention that the board president participated in a fire budget meeting, which is a real concern for me. We did select an ad hoc committee. No, I don't know if anyone else was invited, but I've got to go problem with that.
Can you speak into your mic a little louder?
Yeah, you know, it's on.
I don't think it's working.
I think we need to raise it. Right. So did you want me to repeat anything?
The whole thing.
You need to talk.
Okay, so the first item is that I have met with the general manager, and I know that she's invited the rest of the board to meet with her and Ms. Neibauer to review the budget individually. But yes, it is very disconcerting that we have not begun budget talks in the middle of May. Totally agree. And that secondly, I have a complaint and a concern that the board president, Director Moore, participated in a fire budget meeting with the general manager and CAL FIRE. I have a little concern about that. We did not select an ad hoc committee, and I don't know if anyone else was invited, but I was not invited. And two board members could have sat in on that meeting to dispel any concern that might be considered. Thank you very much.
Is there anything else for the board?
No.
Director Wu?
I still went to sadly go to the fire and police meeting last evening, and it was very well done. It was very well done, it was educational, and I'm glad I did go. And other than that, I'm just working CCMS. I hope we get to that shortly.
Yes, we will, if this matters to the crowd. Director Schoen?
Okay, just real quick, so I was easy if I want to do that next year. I went to, I did, as I mentioned earlier, I did a recycle ride along local route here from the park. I went to, with Ed Schwack, the El Dorado County Solid Waste Advisory Committee, thank you. And a tour of where our recycling goes. And you might be interested to know that all of the material that's collected here in the park and in El Dorado County does not get buried here. All of it is shipped out. None of it is recycled, yard waste, trash. It's all moved out of town. Let's see. I also attended the town hall fire safe committee, and my husband and I decided to donate to the Summer Spectacular, so we made a $2,500 donation, and with matching funds from my husband's employer. And one other thing I'd like to do is that, working on the budget, our general manager came forward with a schedule on how we're going to approach the budget, and that was presented, I don't know, February. And so we are following that schedule that was presented earlier, and there's also a schedule in that binder that was distributed as to what that schedule would look like. I would also like to see if there's some way that we can adjust the budget to remove board member stipends. I would like to volunteer mine to help. I know it's very small, it's just a gesture. So if any other board members would be interested in doing that, I invite them to talk with the general manager. And, definitely want to thank Cal Fire for that grant. I mean, that is absolutely amazing. And then your presentation tonight was extremely clear on where you're spending the money, how you're spending the money, the duration, and I think it's amazing. So I just can't thank you enough for that. And I sure hope to go out again in a year and get another one. Of all the work that needs to be done. I kind of have a question for Holly. You pulled the check register, and, again, and I guess I want to, is that something that you want to bring to the public, and that's why you're bringing it out during the board meeting? Or, I guess... Well, of course. Okay, that's not something that you want to, like, some of these items you can talk directly with the general manager or staff to get those questions instead of bringing them up in the meeting.
Why? Sometimes I have people ask me about what certain things are. I've got questions about certain things. They're not explained. We don't sit down and go over these additional outrageous dollars that we're spending, and we wonder why we're in trouble. So I think it's very important.
Oh, I definitely agree with you. I'm just wondering if some of these...
What's my intent?
No, I'm just wondering if there might be some way that you could... All right. Just a question. No.
She shouldn't be questioned.
Let's see.
No question.
I also agree with publicity that I really like to see a project for in Parks and Rec of how we spend mitigation parks impact fees. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Director Skinny. I wanted to say last night's fire meeting was really good, and I'm very excited about the fire council because I believe that could be a really big help and educational effort for the community. I think that when it gets up and running, it's just going to be a huge resource. Thank you, Barbara. Look at Barbara because she's obviously on the council. I'm looking at you because you're obviously on the council.
I know.
Thank you very much. I want to mention that I had asked the town manager to meet with each of the board members directly on the budget because I do realize that with the committee structure and the Brown Act, it's really, you can't be at all the committees because of the fact that it's Brown could be a Brown Act violation. And then you don't get all the information. So I felt it was important that one-on-one. And that budget was a draft, and it was the worst-case scenario, absolutely the worst-case scenario. That's what we do. We go and we start the draft budget, and we start with the worst-case scenario, and we work it from there. And I feel really good about the community getting involved. I appreciate them coming, and we would like to make sure May 22nd is our next budget review that we're going to be doing this. It's going to be here, so it's next week. And it is a long, arduous process, and it does take a couple hours, and it's needed, right? So we need to do that. And I do want to address Director Morse's concerns with Jason to see if it's anything inappropriate for the president to sit with the fire council and discuss the fire department and discuss the budget.
You have no other
I just talked to
except
Jason.
to run a meeting.
Was asking Jason.
I believe your question is, can you meet with individual members that the district has a contract with? Yes, I always strongly advise that if it's not done in public, that there certainly could be a Brown Act violation if 3 members are there. Ideally, you only have the 1 or perhaps 2 at the absolute most. People can meet individually with them, however, if that works for you.
So can any director request that as well?
Yes.
Okay. So any director can request to have this meeting as well. I'd like to make that clear so that if you want to have within your department, if they wanted to have a Parks and Rec budget meeting, request to it, correct?
That's correct. I would add that normally what comes out of those meetings you would expect to come before the full board.
Thank you.
Or an ad hoc committee, and then the full board at some point.
So there was no report out, And it would seem that a best practice would be for those of us on the board to know when a meeting's been requested. Because if two people can be there, then two people can be there. But to not have been included or not asked, maybe any one of the other four of us might want to have attended that meeting.
Okay, duly noted, and then at this point, we can also make sure that if we do have one that other directors want to meet with the department, then that's communicated with the other directors.
You're saying that you don't believe one director can go somewhere to meet somebody?
So can I interrupt one moment?
Can Jason, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, I think we should consider that the staff setting something like that up at this point, though. We're dancing dangerously close to discussing an item that we're not agendized for, so that's why I think we should consider direction of staff, but perhaps it could be agendized if any board members want to discuss it further.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. We want to, we would agendize it, and we'll talk to each director who's subject to it, if this is something that they feel is important to agendize for the next meeting. Yep. That's it, and we'll move it up. Okay. Thank you.
You know, I know this is to and from, but the one thing I don't want to see anymore is backdoor deals and behind door deals. Wait a minute, and people making decisions when all of you make a decision. You're all 5 elected officials. I don't like your budget process. I don't like your timeline. I think you need to have more meetings, but you're not going to do it. And I'm telling you, my post on next door is blowing up, you guys. So I tell you what, I'm not going to play nice on social media anymore. Put it out there what's going on in these meetings and let people know.
Barbara, thank you very much.
I'm not going to put up with what we have.
Barbara,
you, Amy, and Greg Shannon anymore.
Okay, it does me, but just the last thing I want to say is that this budget timeline was approved by the full board.
I don't care. You're not meeting it out for the public.
That now wraps up matters to and from when we're going to committee meetings.
Whatever, Margaret. You're sorry.
Oh, we're going to LAFCO. Oh, yeah. Exclusive Labor Information Commission.
Okay, our last LAFCO commission meeting was Wednesday, April 24th. And the items, the major items brought forward was the presentation of the fiscal year 27-2018 audit. That was simple receive and file, and it was presented by Richardson and Company, El Dorado LAFCO auditors. The other main item was the consideration and adoption of the amended El Dorado LAFCO fee schedule. These are the charges that LAFCO puts out for processing applications, and depending on who in the organization works on those projects, hourly rates were implemented, and that was on a 5-0 vote. The next major item was a discussion of the transfer of jurisdiction relating to the reorganization of the North Tahoe Fire Protection District and the Meeks Bay Fire Protection District. And I was very surprised there wasn't anyone from the public there to speak on this. It was simply an informational item, but it's a big deal of what's happening with, again, concept of consolidation of the fire department. So, and then the other item was just a basic review of all legislation before the governor in process in the legislature that has to do with LAFCO.
Thank you very much. State committee reports. Wendy, with budget and administration.
We had an extremely long budget and admin committee meeting, and we reviewed our first draft preliminary budget, of which everything was presented at current service levels, and it was our task to look at those current service levels and decide where we're going to make those cuts. That's step one, and that was as planned. Because of the length of that meeting, we were not able to get through another item on that agenda, although that agenda item will be pushed to June. But we don't like the long budget meetings either, and so we're having another one on May 22nd on budget and council. We're going to have updated budget numbers, and we'll be able to take a look at that. So, yes, that was what we did for 4 hours.
Good boy.
Okay, let's have CNR report.
Well, I do have comfortable meetings, and then I'm out in the weeds. I get phone calls quite often about various properties, various concerns. I have brought one of them to, I feel bad bringing it to Cal Fire because I'm making them crazy with this thing, but poor Kate is going crazy with these things also. But I thought one of the nice things for the CCNRs is there was an article in the newspaper by Kate regarding the CCNRs, and at the ending of the article, she did the various places that you could call on the various items, barking dogs, this and so forth, so on. And it is a good thing because sometimes she is very in phone calls, and it's hard to tell when one's really very, very important if someone's desperate because of the situation. And I think anything that can be done to take a little bit of that off of her back. She's one young person, and she's really, really working very, very hard.
Staff has gotten good feedback from that newspaper article from the general public. So it's been very different. It's good work on the CCNR committee.
Thank you. Director Worston, Fire Emergency Services.
Before March. Fire Emergency Services Committee met on Tuesday, May 7th. We reviewed the California Climate Investment Fire Prevention Grant Program, and we also had Chief Gaines make that presentation, so thank you again. Appreciate seeing it tonight as well. I think an important fact to know is that there were 18 applicants for this grant, and we were the only one to receive it, so kudos.
Maybe when it gets to 2 million, we'll do something about it.
And let's see here, we talked, and we really obviously went in depth in the breakout of where the funds would go. So if you want to read it or hear about that, get the CD, because we talked about the breakout of the funds. Under staff, reports and oral updates, we reviewed the weed abatement expenditure line item, the Fire Safe Council project and the Conservation Corps work project, the Cameron Park Lake Dam Emergency Action Plan update. We have obviously lots to discuss in our budget talks about the weed abatement project. But to date, and I see an update here, just to give you a quick update, there's approximately 7,700 improved lots in our district. In March, we had 392 lots inspected. In April, 595 lots inspected, and in May, so far, 164, for a total of 1,151. Out of those, 122 failed the first review, but on the second inspection, only 10 failed. So I'm very excited about the project report to date, and we'll have my recommendations at the budget talks about how to proceed with the cost of that project and some updates that Jill and I talked about today. And I just have a question. I think this is probably provided by you, Chief Smith.
Yes.
So the only question that I have is, what are the gold stars?
That's last year's inspection.
Last year's inspections of approved lots that Audrey and the team had time to do.
No, that was the state DSI inspectors.
Okay, so they did
The Cal
the Air
Fire,
Park and,
yes, I requested.
okay,
they
okay,
review
great.
those and,
So,
Improved lots? Those are improved lots?
yeah.
yes.
And then the X's are,
The
where
red
there's
is
no structure.
correct, vacant lot,
Anything else on this for the board to
unless he doesn't have questions on it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, part of immigration, is that it?
Yeah, we've been reviewing the Fire Safe Council project. A lot of work was completed, as some of you who attended the Fire Safe Council meeting about a month or so ago, and the work that the Conservation Corps did with CAL FIRE, their chippers, and Rosberg, and hopefully that some of the grant funding will be used to hire crews to finish the cleanup of the waste that some of the other crews had already cut, if you will. And then there was was it Mr. Grassley that met with West Consulting, or Joe?
West Consulting was our Park Lake and Emergency Action Plan.
Right, and who met with them?
I did.
You did.
So, Chief Moran.
Oh, and Chief Moran. Okay, so
Are you on fire or something?
we're on fire. Cameron Park Lake Dam Emergency Action Plan. So just an update of where we are with West Consulting on the first draft of the final report. And that's all. Oh, yeah, that's all.
Can I just ask a quick question on the handout that you went over? I just want to verify that it's 18%, not 0.18%, that's the little typo there. So it's nearly 20%, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, now I said it's for fire and emergency, and then Parks and Rec.
And Parks and Rec. So the Parks and Rec Committee meeting was Monday, May 6th. And the first item I wanted to talk about was we had a very interesting open forum guest, Mr. Fred Simon. I'm sorry some of our residents left because they probably know who he is. But he had been to a Little League meeting and was, I don't know how he could be surprised, he's lived here for years, and had a major hand in the creation of Rasmussen Park and the ball yards there. But he brought a proposal to the committee to build 2 new infields at Christa McCall, understanding that the length of Christa McCall is 450 feet, or the width rather, and then the length 450 and the width 370 feet that would accommodate 2 ball yards at the corners and still allow for us to have T-ball. And from what I understand of who this gentleman is, if there's a way for that to happen, and I think Mike took a card, and hopefully we'll have a conversation about the possibility of using that land.
And still have the,
We'll have the T-ball,
and the red.
still have the soccer, yeah, because all we have to do is carve out an infield, and it would not impede our soccer field site. Yeah, so it's very exciting.
That's his estimation, and I think that Mike and I have
That's his
some work.
estimation.
Mike and I have some work to do, and I know that Mike has a follow-up meeting, not only with Mr. Simon, but also with Prospector. Lily?
Yeah.
Little League.
Okay.
I reached out to both of them. So
Yeah,
we're
and so
starting with them.
they're going to be, and we're not only going to talk about, we're going to talk about all of our properties and make sure that we're putting things in the right place.
Yeah. But again, Little League will pay, so that's the main
Well, that
thing.
might be also a Parks and Rec fee.
Yes. So just another idea, so I was happy to hear it. We had a summer spectacular update. We talked about the community center use reports from Rec Track for Q1. We talked about the theft at the park shop. We talked about the tribe at the lake that we spoke about earlier. Maintenance at Cameron Park Lake, the fire fuel reduction in parks and open space, the disc golf community meeting, and the progress on that. And then we talked about the survey regarding dogs being on leash at Cameron Park Lake. And the deadline, I think, was originally the 13th. And we extended that to the 20th. If you know anyone who hasn't completed it or lives in Cameron Park and or has a dog or doesn't have a dog, we really need their input.
Yep, we welcome additional comments. Right now, we're at over 500 surveys returned.
That's a very good return rate.
How many?
500 surveys.
Yeah, I just turned in a big batch. The other, I think, important item that we discussed was the fact that Eldorado Hills had canceled their kids camp program. There's a big article in Eldorado Hills in Village Life today, if you haven't seen it. And the good news is that the Girls and Boys Club has stepped up, and hopefully the work that staff did to reach out to our previous client for the Cameron Park program this summer will be effective and will have a full process. That's all.
Or Wendy, do you want to talk about the thing that we did as far as sorting through project proposals?
Oh, you know what?
Because I think it lends itself to the city wanting to come forward with projects, and we came up with a ranking.
It was a major report by the general manager. I'm sorry, I saw Department Mailers. We reviewed the review draft process to identify park improvement projects for Prop 68 or any other grant opportunities. And what Jill did was, I'm not sure Jill and staff, put together a criteria for selecting these projects based on certain standards. The highest priority, the most valued projects, and then the lesser importance and any possible detractions. And spent quite a bit of time on this and how she came to these conclusions based on safety, improvement or repair, no operational cost of the district's repairing the existing infrastructure, the number of people served, if the project was pertinent to current needs, and if it was relevant, if it was supported by the 2015 master plan, if the project was within existing parklands, if the project was fully offset with funding source for construction, and if it was consistent with park special use permits. And then in the second category, a project would be determined to be of lesser importance if the cost of the project was high, if matching funds were required to construct the project, if it expanded service, the cost to operate specific population served, a smaller number of a population served, if there were environmental and or building permitting costs were too high, if the projects were not included in the 2015 master plan, and if new park property is required. And the caveat that we put to all of these were if the cost of the project was high without an offset, if the matching funds were required without an offset. So again, looking at grants opportunities. Anything else, Jill, you want to?
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have the Solar Energy Ad Hoc Committee? That's me, Derek.
Hey,
Derek's
exciting
by-
today.
Derek's by default.
Forewarning, although I should know better. The Solar Ad Hoc Committee met, and I don't have my file in front of me to give specific dates. We recently met, you might have it. And it was Margaret, myself, Jill, with guests from Cameron Park Country Club, talk about their solar project that they're in process and close to completion. We met with 3 different groups now, and from those 3 groups, each coming from a different perspective and a different approach to doing this, feel that we're in a good place to meet as a group, which we're meeting next week on the 21st, to look at what kind of proposals we want to bring before the board for next steps. So that's where we're at, and I think that's a good enough summary for now. Unless there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer questions from you later days.
What was the last part? That's because that's where we're at. Why?
Next week we're meeting, and we tried, it was difficult to find a date when all of our ad hoc committee can meet together. So we're meeting next week, finally, to be able to finally sit down with, here's what we've looked at, here are the different types of approaches, and so here's what we're going to recommend to the board out of that for next steps. Not necessarily go after the project, but here's what we see should happen next in the process.
So how close are you to making the decision? We've met with 3 people, we pretty much know.
We're going to decide next week. Our next meeting, we're going to talk about what we learned. We're going to come up with what our recommendation is to the board, and then at the next appropriate time, when it's on the agenda, bring that to the board.
Good. We're ready. You've seen those people, you know?
Yeah, well, and it's worth saying, as you all know, with anything you're doing, it's just a long process, and it's just been challenging, partly just getting all of us together, or at least enough of us to overlap the information. It's been very helpful, and I'm really grateful that we've waited to meet with each of these groups to really get a perspective. So I think we're going to come with a reasonable proposal.
It's a different perspective every group.
Yes.
It's that each solution was different, each and every one, crazy.
It's not an easy answer, but thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Okay. Public comment at this time. May speak on any closed session agenda item that we have. Is there anybody who would like to speak on that? Okay, if that's it, then we're going to continue the closed session at this time.
Good, there we go. Ben. So, yeah, graduation, another graduation.
That's fine. So this is all.
And now you're at our committee. So, it's all good.